Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome back to this experience sharing. Today is actually episode 16. All right, I'm Jason Hew, your trainer for today. Let me do a broadcast of myself. I'm actually a Jetscape IC and Piedmont Grand EC Deputy IC. So both sides are doing extremely well during the circuit breaker. So I hope some of you has actually benefited from there. But if you are not, it's time that you can actually arrange a viewing with the ICs or the taggers or even your core team friends. All right, the topic that I'm going to share with all of you today will actually opens up to a lot of opportunities. Sincerely hope that everyone is preparing for your chongness to start to plan ahead for your third and fourth quarter 2020. Today, I'm elated to share such important topics on the phase 2 opening. All right, HDB Resale Portal. This is where opportunity begins, where you can make the pot of small gold from the HDB sellers. Some of you may be very rusty during the CB period, so I hope I can energize everyone and refresh your memories to the topic that I'm going to share today. Is it good? Sounds familiar, right? And it's also not very comfortable for us talking to the screen, knowing that you are just behind us. All right, we will try to do this a very informal way. And since we are on the HDB Resale Portal itself, there will be some numbers that I would urge everyone to participate together with me. All right, is it okay? Okay, let's move on to the next slides. Okay, since we are on the second phase and today is actually our first day we are out there, I'm sure a lot of our agents has already built up your appointments list, you know, all the way back to your Saturday and Sunday. All right, it's the same thing as we see and acknowledge at the show flats. Appointments are filling up on an everyday basis. All right, I just want to remind everybody, this is some of the powerful and positive notions that everyone should actually work towards that. If you are positive, you will always see opportunity in states of obstacle. So this one, I want to remind everyone again, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. All right. So can I just start the lessons formal now? Let's put into the chat itself. Can any one of you tell me what is our Singapore population right now? Can you just type it in so that I can see? Let's see whether you are able to key in the numbers. Everyone can just participate. Oh, okay. Okay, now our populations for the HDB are not the HDB. For our Singapore population is 5.7 million. All right, when I start into this real industry standard back then, some people told me that we are 80% of the household are staying in HDB. Do you know that currently what is the percentage people are residing in the HDB? So let me just fill you in with some of the numbers. So the population as in March 2019, we have 3.2 million. All right, which is a population housed in a HDB flats. So can all of you identify in your mind right now which are the top 5 resale volume, or maybe should I say the most heavier population right now? All right, just think about it. 5 of it. All right, I'm sure Jurong West is part of it, and you probably will have Woodlands, your Tampines, and Yishun and Sengkang. So these are all the top 5 largest towns currently in Singapore, and these are all the numbers are being extracted on the 31st March of 2019. All right, You're cool? Great. Let's move on to the next slide. Why am I showing all of you these numbers? So I want all of you to focus on, because currently once it's open, you know, HDB may have a lot of backlog issues, but that does not deter us to go out there and continue to render our service to them. All right. If you are serving your seller right now, physical viewing is possible, but of course we still have to ensure that the safety rules are met. And if you are trying to reach out to your new prospect, the norm is through the virtual viewing is still possible. If not, you can always arrange a meeting. All right. So the important topic, learn HDB Resale Portal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what does all these numbers means to you? Whenever I see HDB, there's only 4 pages that I always remember. That will be our OTP 1, 2, 4, 8. Page 1, 2, 4, and 8. They always must ask our seller or buyers to acknowledge that. All right. And how about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? What does that actually means to us? All right. Later we will revisit what exactly are we talking about in this segment. All right. In actually, if you look closely under the HDB resale procedure itself, resale portal is actually one of the segments that we need to understand and highlight clearly to all our sellers and buyers out there. So we will just go through again, right? So at the end of the day, I would really expect, hope that everyone is able to know when did the HDB Resale Portal was introduced and the purpose. And secondly, are we able to advise our clients on the resale portal what to look out for? Thirdly, able to advise what is the requirement at any documentation stage. Lastly, able to have more clarity on the completions and a handover for any transactions. As the denotes mentioned, the more you are involved, the better you will get. This is always the case. Okay, now let's look at it. When did HDB Resale Portal was introduced? All right, so it was mentioned on the 1st Jan 2018. It was officially launched. So coming to that, this topic is really gearing towards someone out there, co-colleagues, friends, who might not be in tune to any HDB sales transactions. But hopefully this simplified format will actually urge everyone to go out there and reach out at the same time to do some transactions on the HDB itself. All right, who should the new HDB resale portal refers to? It's all individual who wants to purchase or sell a HDB resale flat to use the new HDB portals. All right, that is not applicable for any BTO flats. It's more to resale units. All right, so what is the main purpose of the drive of this resale portal? Okay, currently it actually streamlines all the resale flat process into a single platform and actually provides a step-by-step guides for the flat buyers and the seller throughout the whole resale transactions. All right, can you remember back then how long is the whole transactions of the HDB? If I recall that we have 2 HDB appointments. One is the known as a first appointment, and after that we have our second appointment. So all in all together, after your 2 weeks of option fees, option periods, then we have our 6 weeks for the first appointment. Subsequently, then we will have to wait up for another 8 weeks for your whole completions. All right. The whole idea of having this HDB resale portal is mainly to shorten your resale transactions time by only up to 8 weeks. All right. And it also reduces manual entry of personal information. a lot of time back then, we do a lot of filling up forms, and we also did our resale checklist. So these are all done manually now inside the resale portal itself. And it also integrates all resale related services. And like I mentioned to everyone out there, now the appointment is only one time. You have shortened the period, and you do not need to see the officer so many times. So now we are only back to one time. All right, cautious of words right now because due to the circuit breaker breakdown, right, lockdown. So I have some experience even for my co-broke and myself. And during the time when they registered resale applications somewhere in mid-April, till now, HDB are not able to grant them any dates or even approval, which means they are running quite a heavy backlog. Okay, the reason why I'm telling you all this is I want you all to mentally prepare in a way that even though we are talking about the lead time by 8 weeks, it might drag a little longer due to the backlog experience. So hopefully you all can relate better to your seller out there or your buyers out there. At the same time, you are able to plan ahead in terms of their completions and the move in, move out. All right. So having said so, what do we mean by identify the flow of IAAPAC? So in a nutshell, we try to replicate this kind of easy understanding, all right, in a short manner. I stands for intend to sell or your buying. A will be your resale applications. Another A will be your acknowledge of documents. Subsequently, you are encouraged to pay the fees, and you wait for your approval, and you attend the completions. So that will be a seller guide that I hope that it can easily remember to every one of you, so that you can highlight this to your prospect out there. And of course, having known all this flow of the IAAPAC, you must know exactly what is the different stages of this so that you can guide them through. Even though everything will be done manually through the online, and they are supposed to register through their IC SingPass. Okay, so let us go right through the resale portal. And for someone who is looking at this for the very first time, I'm happy that you're opening up. Let's get some HDB sales. All right, how does the new HDB resale portal work? All you need to do is simply log in to the resale portal. So this is how it actually looks like. So you are able to log in with your SingPass. So after that, you'll be prompted. Scroll down to find out whether you are the buyer, seller, administrator, executor, or public trustees, or maybe your non-residents or the buyer's spouse that is highlighted over here. All right, just click to the refers to you, so you are able to go in. Very straightforward. Okay, so step one, specific if you are buying or selling. Through this method, if you are a seller, definitely I want to sell my flats. All right, so now we are going through and visiting more to the seller guides. So this will be applicable to you. So if you are representing seller or DIY, you will likely to see this page, intend to sell, and also your eligibility to sell. For someone who is still stuck on the MOP, likelihood it will not go through. All right, so if the person you're serving is stuck with an MOP, there's also one way to write into the HDB. If there's a specific reason why they want to sell early, HDB may grant them on a case-to-case basis. All right, moving forward, the intent to sell, which is done. All right, then the next step will be your A. Remember the IAA. All right, so the second step will be your resale applications. So that will only be applicable once you obtain the OTP. and you grant the OTP to the buyers. So that is the step that you enter to submit your case. So the third step that we are looking at will be your acknowledgement for the resale documents. So how long does this acknowledgement of the resale documents are done? Usually upon receiving your applications, the back end of the HDB will try to dissect that. Normally it will take about 1 week. The most is 2 weeks. But apparently now, because of this situation, you may tend to have a longer period of time. So do check back with the HDB at all times so that there will not be further delays. All right. So coming to the step 4, you will have some fees that you will have to pay. And what are the fees normally? It will be the conveyancing fees. There will be a title search, stuff like that. And these are the fees that you'll be made payable to the sellers. All right. And step 5, you will probably wait for your HDB approval. And after that, you will probably attend the date that is granted to you. So are we able to change the date if, let's say, both parties are not able to attend it? Yes, of course, you're able to do so. As long as mutually agree upon, then you can actually write back to the case officer on the HDB, and they acknowledge. We can actually urgent to the extensions of the date for completion. All right. Now, after we have identified the seller's guide, now it's time that we actually look into the buyer's guide as well. So who is with me that you prefer to serve seller more than the buyers out there? In fact, I'll prefer to serve sellers out there, because if you notice that there are shorter documentations that you need to go through with them. All right. Of course, that is more like you actually work through with them on their cash proceeds, so that's the window of opportunity. When they have cash proceeds, they are able to open up to many funnels and many other opportunity. All right. So for buyers, there's a lot of work to be done. And that is where the 9 steps that we are looking at. Earlier on, we mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the 9 steps guide if you are serving your buyer. All right. IOFVAAPAC. All right. I just go through step by step to every one of you so that you all are clearer in a way. So I will never be written off, because I represent your intent to buy. So since you are a buyer guide, so intent to buy must be done always before obtaining OTP. All right. A lot of cases that I experienced before, even my co-brokes or even somehow or other my agents may not be in tune to. They are very kanchiong to just obtain the options, but at the end of the day, they forgot to recognize the intent to buy. So this is something that I urge everybody to be mindful, that every time when an option is obtained, make sure your intent to buy is done off. All right. Then after I mentioned your intent to buy is done, that's where you are able to exchange your option to purchase. Subsequently, you are being guided to the financing mode, whether it's on a HDB loan, whether it is on a bank loan. Once again, you're talking about a HDB loan itself. Make sure your HLE is already done. So some of you will be asking, what is HLE? For the very first time, because you are not in tune to HDB, it's actually a home loan eligibility. So this must be done before that you are able to obtain your OTP. But in the cases where you have missed out the steps, are we able to still proceed with the options? Likelihood is still possible if you can actually change the mode of financing, which you will go into your bank loan. It's a private bank institutions to grant the buyers of that loan. All right, that you can skip the part of a HLE and move forward from here. So once you have actually done so on the financing mode, all right, then we will have this request for valuations. So request for valuation is something that we'll just copy page 1 and send it through online as well. That could be done by the buyers, all right, or even the agent serving the buyers. Okay, and there will be a nominal fees that you actually pay for your valuation request. And the next following steps are similar, all right? And you have your A come into play, that you submit your resale applications, and then you have your acknowledgement of documents, paying all the fees as well, and you wait for the approval. Subsequently, you attend your completions. All right. So when we talk about wait for the approval, there will be official letters that were sent to the buyer or seller to let them know, and when are they expecting the HDB completion as well. All right. So now I've actually showcased you the seller guide and the buyer guides. Okay. So for the next step, it's the same. While entering the resale portal, just click I want to buy a flat. All right. And then you register your intent. So if you're a buyer, just register through. Second step, you search for the desired flats, and ultimately you will obtain the options by the sellers or the agents. All right. The third step will be, do you intend to take a housing loan that was being guided to, or are you using your CPF to buy? All right. Earlier on, I probably have not touched on the valuations. Okay, if you are not using any of the CPF usage, you are or not taking any loan, you are required not to go forward for any request for valuations. All right. Whatever amount that was agreed upon with the seller itself, you can proceed straight into the applications. It's only when you require a form of financing from the bank on the loan or the CPF usage, then the request must be made. Okay, then we move on to the request of valuation that was highlighted here. And something that you need to understand is there will be a processing fee of 120 only. All right, that is a flat rate. So sometimes on a request of valuations, you may experience that when there's a lot of data are being transacted on that sector or that cluster or the township itself, somehow or rather the valuer will not be present. All right, that will probably shorten the whole entire process. So within the next 3 to 5 working days, you will likely receive your valuation reports, and the buyers will probably just log in to find out the details. All right. So normally, if let's say the valuer are requested to go down, they will likelihood to actually contact the agent or the contact point 1 to 2 days later. Then you know that the valuer will be there. So this is something that you can look out for. All right. So this is the step 4. Just now I mentioned to you. Okay, if you notice that over there, there's also a earlier OTP that was granted before 2018. The fees that you have to pay is $156 and $226 for 3-room and bigger. That was previously, but now there's a flat rate only. All right. So submit your resale applications. So both parties has to be done seamlessly, and between both parties, there's only 7 days. Which means if the seller 1 has actually first party submitted, the second party, which is known as the buyer, will have to submit accordingly as well. So normally I would suggest that since buyer has a lot of steps to go forward, it's better that the buyers will actually make the submission first, then followed by the second party, which will be the seller in this case. All right. So make sure that everything is seamlessly connected. All right. And every time when you do a resale applications on both sides, you are entitled, you are required, sorry, not entitled, it's never a privilege, but is actually you have to pay admin fees of $80 each, serving parties, buyer and seller at the same time. All right. As I mentioned earlier on, typically the whole completion will take place within 8 weeks. All right. After you have made the submissions, that will be your acknowledgement of the resale documents. So the buyers and the sellers are being prompted by SMS. They have to go online to endorse the documents. So both parties are being notified. So if one party has not done their parts, it will be triggered down to the respective agents who are following up on the case as well. All right, just to make sure that everybody goes through. Okay, and that's where, if let's say the buyers came down from or taking up another came down from subsidized flats, they might be required to pay a resale fees. All right. And lastly, last but not least, so we have to also wait for the HDB approval. Once they have actually cleared, everything is in order, then they will actually send out the letters to all sign-off parties. And lastly will be your attend the completion appointment. Remember, there's only one appointment that every flat buyers and sellers will go through. And I believe that everybody will probably see this seller guide that is made available by HDB, so that we can easy reference as well. All right, and these are all made available online. You know, you can go online to search on that, so that by looking at it, you are most of the time more confident that you can relate the right information out there to your prospects. All right, now let's go through the summary of what we have just mentioned earlier on. Okay, like I mentioned to you, HDB Resale Portal is part of it. All right, as we visit the points that was mentioned on the resale procedures as well. All right, we will guide them through on the HDB Resale Portal. Thirdly, we will ask them about their housing loan, and we will tell them off on the option to purchase. They are all coded serial number, so no other properties are having the same OTP numbers. All right, and fifth part is actually we request for the value of the flats. Sixth is quite uncommon that we always have to check for the purchase of the recess area. So if you are getting your buyers on a newly BTO flats, you know, just complete MOP, right? So we may not have this kind of a concern. But if let's say you're serving buyers that are going into the more matured estates, which is more like a 25 years or 30 years, they may have this kind of a recess area that you will take note. All right, so maybe you can always make a reference and check back with the HDB whether they can make any purchase. All right, and resale application is part of that in the flow of it, and followed by acceptance of the resale applications. Inspections will come by the HDB branch office. And the 10th part of it is the endorsement that I just now has mentioned about, and also the payments that you have to make. Last two will be your approval and then your completions. So you are able to obtain all these resale procedures under the HDB link provided there as well, so that at all time you refresh yourself before you can talk to your clients out there as well. Okay, we are almost coming to the end of the whole sharing. I'm going to give you one bonus slides, but I'm sure that some of you may have already know this, and some of you may find that this is something new. All right, so this is on the HDB map services. So for somebody who are just looking at this for the very first time, this HDB map services are able to give you all the informations that you want pertaining to the lease info, the breakdown of flat types, resale price, your season's parking as well. And likelihood, they also give you some tingles on the shoppings around us. All right, so go through this. You're able to find, maybe I'll just make a simple suggestions. 79E Toa Payoh Central. You see that everything is highlighted. You know, just like our Joe service that we are able to see, wow, all the HDB rate colors are reflected in the system. All right, in this system itself, you're able to see your lease start date. All right, this is the thing that you probably can highlight to the buyer out there whenever you're serving the clients. You know, how many years left, stuff like that. You know, they are more in tune to find out. And there's also a unique breakdown flat type. You know, you can also scroll that for more information. And the last thing you want to also find out more is actually the resale flats prices of that block, or maybe the transactions within the 200 meters away. These are all made available for you to do your quick info, right? Before you go out there and talk to your clients. Okay? And thank you for watching this HDB Resale Portal with me. And I hope that today is your first day, and make sure you will create miracles and move forward to your third and fourth quarter with OTT together. Thank you.